Ako si Rose, 32 years old. At itong anak ko, kakapanganak ko lang sa kanya noong isang araw. Wala pa siyang pangalan. Di ko na itatago. Nakakalungkot na may mga naisip na ako para umiwas sa bigat ng responsibilidad. Lumapit na ako sa mga taong kaya siyang ibenta para sa ilang libo. Handa na rin ako noon na ipalaglag kahit illegal at delikado para sa akin. Labandera kasi ako. At ngayon, onti lang nagpapalabas sa akin. Minsan, sapat ang kita, pero madalas kulang. Pangatlo ko na rin to. Tapos mag-isa lang ako. At kahit gusto ko siyang alagaan, nahihirapan na nga ako sa dalawa at wala pa akong suporta galing sa pamilya ko. Ano na lang ay papang sustento ko sa baby ko. Buti na lang, naglakas loob akong lumapit at humingi ng tulong sa amo ko. Ipinakilala niya ako sa tulong kay nanay at sa Rohe Foundation. Ginabayan nila ako sa aking pisikal, medikal at emosyonal na pangangailangan. Ipinaunawa din nila sa akin kung gaano kahalaga ang magiging desisyon ko para sa anak ko. Dahil dito, nakita ko ang aking kakayahan at pinili ko na mismo ang mag-aalaga sa kanya. Ang kwento ko ay isa lang sa maraming kwentong pag-asa ng mga ina na katulad ko. Para sa iba, ang pagpapaampon ng kanilang anak ang mas mabuting desisyon. At hindi yan masama. Nandyan din ang Rohe Foundation para gabayan ako na tahakin ang tama at legal na proseso ng pag-ampon ng bata. Pagpapaampon man o pagpiling ipagpatuloy ang pag-alaga sa bata, walang mas angat na desisyon. Ang mahalaga lang, dapat malayo sa peligro ang ina at ang kanyang anak.
Life was good. We were blessed. We had been married for a couple of years. We were enjoying life in Singapore, and we had a baby on the way. These were answers to our prayers. These were sources of comfort. However, comfort does have the habit of slipping away. 5 months in and 1 heartbeat less, we saw the perfect life we pictured slip from our grasp. There was pain, there was brokenness, there was sadness. After months of anticipating joy, we found ourselves in the middle of unimaginable grief. Across Southeast Asia and the Philippines, grief has made itself known to many parents, not due to the loss of a life, but the giving away of one. Soft hands and fragile skin sold to feed mouths and fill pockets for a day. There's no hate in the giving away, only desperation. Desperation brought about by circumstance. Desperation that leads to child trafficking, infant prostitutes, child criminals, abandonment. It's tough to see the demand for such a business at such a high level. Billions of dollars being used to fund the violation of innocent bodies, some too young to even comprehend the pain. Even more, it's tough to know that this is being done in the land we grew up in, right in the city we call home. Our hearts beat for these children, so much so that it beats for a specific one. If we were to be advocates for these children, then we must first be examples. In October 2017, a pregnant mother couldn't keep her child. So with desperation, she searched for someone to be the one to hold her baby in their arms. We wanted to help, and so we did. But we never knew that it would be our hands that God would use to cradle this child. 3 weeks in, and one heartbeat more, we had her in our grasp. Our hearts were filled with love and our souls refashioned. We are no heroes, just followers answering a call. Had we chosen to reject the call, turn our heads away, or hesitate even for a moment, our child would have been one of many whose body has become a commodity. She is one less child prostituted, one less child trafficked, one less child abandoned, one less child lost in the system, one less child victim, one less orphan. But she is just one less. There are millions of children out there who may never have access to a family, access to care, to nourishment, to shelter, to safety, to a childhood. But if more people extended their arms to these children, if the stigma behind adoption was redefined to be a culture of love, then 2 less children would be trafficked, 10 less children abandoned, 1,000 less children criminals, 1 million less children victims to this injustice. And instead, more children would be welcomed home by families who will treat them with love, provide them with nourishment, house them in shelter, care for their safety, and allow for them to have a childhood. Now the call is great, but the answer is simple. It's a heart willing to serve and a courageous kind of love. It's open arms and open homes. At the Rohe Foundation, we advocate for adoption. As of 2016, 1.8 million children in the Philippines were considered abandoned or neglected. And out of that 1.8 million, only 1,818 were placed for adoption. So as a response, the Rohe Foundation aims to develop programs that provide holistic care for pregnant women in crisis, to rescue babies before they are abandoned and disowned, and to encourage and guide families in their adoption journeys. Through this, we hope to see a world where every orphan is adopted into a family, and that all families would be empowered to move in compassion and generosity toward children in need of families. Because at the end of the day, family is the answer.
I didn't carry Milana in my womb for 9 months, but in my heart and in my soul, I've carried her way more than 9 months. She's been a product of our years of prayer and years of conversations with God, and she's ours. You know, she's ours, really and truly. Like, she's ours. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you get what I mean.
When I was asked that question, no, I realized na, oh nga, how did I overcome that? I think by just God appointing me. He's mine. Moses is mine. God qualified me by giving him to me. So, dun pa lang, nakakalma na yung fears ko na, oh nga, I'm his real mom. Ako yung mom niya. God already qualified me for it. So, he gave Moses to me, so I'm the real mom. And regardless of what happens in the future, my son wanted to meet his biological family one day.
Being a mom starts with really the decision once you say yes. Because people are so afraid to say yes because they want to feel like the mom first. No, you say yes. And then you'll feel like a mom. You'll just feel that protective side of you, I guess.
Well, I would advise parents who adopted their child to tell their adopted child as early as possible. The younger, the better, and let them say it in a positive way that they're a gift from God.
I think it's teaching me, like I said earlier, just the heart of God is all about sacrifice, and he left the 99 to go after the one. He sacrificed his son to adopt, and learning how to love first with Chloe, and understanding that kind of sacrificial love where it's not about biology, and it's about deciding and choosing, and that it's a privilege. It's really teaching me, that love is action. Love is sacrifice.
It's not about just providing for your family. It's not providing for your family. It's about raising the next generation and allowing them to be impacted by Jesus the way Jesus impacted you. And how you model that. And how can you model if you're not home? How can you model and mentor if you're not home?
Actually, we coin it this way. First, we say, bring your mission home.
Okay.
Everybody has a mission by heart, right? I can't figure out what my mission is. And everyone knows, okay, I give my tithes, I give my money, but there's something I want to do on my own. But I can't go to Timbuktu, I can't go to Africa, I can't go, what's my mission? So we coined the phrase. I say it's very simple. Bring your mission home.
One way or another, God's going to make sure He's going to provide for you, for your needs, for that child's need. Just do the right part. Someone once said, stop asking God to bless what you're doing. Find out what God's doing, because it's already blessed. So I think that's we all need to look at, okay, let's not look at what's in front of us as far as finances and our circumstance and all this. Let's just do it, and God's going to bless it somehow, some way. Let's just trust God that He's going to come through for us.
So my advice to all fathers out there, and of course to all parents who be parents, is that just be ready for it, because it's not going to be easy. Sure, yeah. But of course, all the fun that you have and the love that you're going to get from your children makes it worth it. And it's I'll do it 10 times over just to have that feeling of having children who love you and call you daddy and call you mommy. That's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that.
1.8 million of orphans, neglected, abandoned children. If one church could provide one family, I think by the grace of God, we can see no more orphans in our nation.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Karina, and I'm here on behalf of Rohi Foundation. So glad that you can join us for another one of our live chats. Good news, live chats are back, and we do intend to do them weekly. So we hope that if you're not watching us live, that's totally fine. Know that you can watch the rewatch. You can replay this video over and over, share it with your friends and family. But before we get started, we do want to invite you to share this stream so that those who are online now can catch it live and interact with us online. Lots of ways you can do that. You can host a watch party. You can tag your friends in the comment section, share this on your own Facebook page. We are also live on YouTube, so feel free to share the link if you're watching it from there. And yeah, we're so glad that you could join us. Do let us know that you're here. Please feel free to interact with us. Send us your questions, your comments. It's going to be a great show. We have a great set of guests joining us this afternoon, and I'm really excited for you to hear from them. So do share with us your thoughts as the show goes along. But before we get started, I think it would be best for me to share a little bit about Rohi Foundation. I believe some of you are joining us for the first time this afternoon. So let me introduce Rohi Foundation and what we do. We're basically a nonprofit organization based in the Philippines. We're coming to you live from Manila right now. And our heart is really to see orphans adopted into families. One of the ways that we do that is through our advocacy work that we run. We run seminars and forums. Prior to the pandemic, we were doing these face-to-face. We are in the process of launching Family is the Answer, which used to be kind of like just an intro to adoption, the heart of adoption kind of a forum. This will be online very soon, so do look out for that. If you're interested, do get in touch with us so that we can make sure that you get the information about Family is the Answer when we launch that live. Also, our Pregnant Women in Crisis program is another side of the work that we do. This is something, you might have seen the video earlier in the stream before we went live, sharing a little bit about that. We invite you to check that out on Rohe Foundation. We also invite you to check out the Tulong Kay Nanay page for Pregnant Women in Crisis. This page is designed to reach out to women who are pregnant and are unsure about both their capacity and their willingness to see their pregnancies through. You know, the orphan crisis is brought about by this issue as well. There are a lot of women who find themselves pregnant, don't know where to go, don't know where to find help, and end up surrendering their children for adoption without really having explored all the options first. Sometimes they end up abandoning their babies. We hear about these stories all the time. They're heartbreaking. The idea, the heart behind this program is really to be able to get to these women before they do anything drastic and regrettable. So if you know somebody that this program would be of help to, please do connect them to our Tulong Kay Nanay page, and we hope to meet them there. Yeah, and stay in touch with us on social media as well. We'll be flashing our social media handles all throughout. You can visit our website for more information about not just our programs. We have a lot of great resources there, a lot of stories, really inspiring adoption stories can be found on our website. There's a lot of great resources there about how to get your adoption journey started, so do check that out as well. But yeah, visit our website, visit us on social media. We'll be happy to interact with you there. But I think we should get right to our guests. So let me start by introducing our guests for this afternoon. Joining me today is Reina Pante. She is a teacher and a mother of two. She adopted first in 2004. And then later in 2017 for the second time. So their family has been on this adoption journey twice over. And I think that's something really inspiring. It shows really their heart for adoption. Her son, Nathan Pante, who is 17, will be joining us as well. Nathan is actually one of our Rohe Foundation volunteers, so we're very privileged to have Nathan as one of our volunteers, really serving and sharing his heart for orphan children and really trying to make a difference in this space. So today we're going to get to hear a little bit about their thoughts on adoption, about their story, their experience with bullying. Nathan's experience with bullying is something that he's going to be sharing with us a little bit about, and obviously motherhood from Reina's perspective. So without further ado, let's bring Nathan and Reina on the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Hello.
Are you
Thanks
guys
for
doing
having
well?
me.
How was your Mother's Day? Belated Happy Mother's Day, Reina.
Thank you to you too. Nathan actually cooked pasta for me that
Wow. Wow, Nathan, that's amazing. Is cooking something you like to do often? Is it one of your hobbies?
I've learned it from a lot of members of my family, my mom, my titas, my dad, my ninongs, of course. So I would pick that up from them.
Okay, so it's really something you enjoy.
Yeah. It's something.
Oh, that's wonderful. Sounds like a nice way to celebrate Mother's Day. That's very sweet. And of course, Reina, Nathan has been a huge blessing to our team, and just the way he has shared his story, his journey with us has really been an encouragement, not just to me, but to many members of our team, as well. We're so grateful that you both said yes to sharing your story today. I know this is not new for either of you, but I think we'll start with Reina just to give a bit of context to how your adoption journey started. On a personal level for you, it was probably 17 years ago, right? Nathan's 17 now. Could you take us back to that time and tell us a little bit about how you went through that consideration process and eventually decided that adoption was something you were going to do?
Right. We were already 4 years in our marriage then, and we were both, building careers. And then one day, my mom, who was a doctor, told me that I should have a checkup because there was something irregular. So I did without really thinking about it so much because my mom's very meticulous about those things, with being a doctor and all. And then after that checkup, I forgot about it. And then after a month or so, she said, "You have to come to this the office of the doctor." And she didn't tell me any other details, so I went. And then I found out that that doctor was a specialist. And then they just told me that I had cancer. So I didn't even register because I didn't feel anything wrong. So yeah, we only had a few days to process because the doctor said that I had to really have to have that removed. And so without really thinking about it, so I didn't have any other way to conceive. And then it dawned on me that reality maybe weeks after the operation. And then that's when I became depressed and thinking about things. And then maybe a few months in after the operation, that's when I started to consider, with all the prayers and all the asking my family about it, my husband, of course. And so we explored, and then we found KBF. So that's how we started our journey. It was very helpful. Their seminars and the social workers were very helpful. So it was like a 9-month process as well before we got Nathan. And there was even a choice. There was even another child we actually wanted a daughter. But when I saw Nathan's picture, I said, "No, this is my child. This is our child." So instead of the daughter which we originally wanted, we had Nathan. So we brought him home when he was 7 months old. Yeah.
How did you know? I think that's really interesting. That's so cute. That's a cute twist to your story. But you said you saw the photo and you said, "No, this is my son." Is there something in you that you just know?
Yeah.
What was it like for you? What did you feel?
Both pictures were cute, but the picture of Nathan spoke to me. I don't know. There was that connection that I felt, and of course, my husband too. And I can't really explain it in so many words, but I just felt that he was the child. He was the child for me.
That's really nice. I mean, we hear a lot of parents say the same thing, that there's that connection, and you just know, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
And even if it meant kind of changing your preference of originally thinking you were going to be adopting a girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think your sister's watching, and she remembers that those were difficult times. It's a difficult season to come out of physical illness and have to face then the reality of that for you. How did you know, Reina, that you were ready to adopt, coming out of something so difficult on a personal level, as a woman, as a mother? How did you know that my heart's ready to save time to do this?
I remember praying a lot, and my husband and I went to this church in UP, and then there was that warm feeling that this is probably what's meant for me. And I didn't want to have any regrets. I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to, you know, be sad anymore. So, but we've been trying for 4 years. So we said na this is not wrong. This is going to be very good for our family, and somewhere out there is also a child who's going to be blessed and who's going to bless our lives. So yeah, it was a decision in heart, and it was a decision we had also in mind.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so then you take Nathan home, and you said you took him home. He was about 7 months old. Am I right? He was about
Yeah.
7 months old when you took him home, and it was a 9 month wait for him. And what was it like those first few days, weeks of getting to know each other and not having 9 months in the womb,
Oh,
but having 9 months of him kind of being birthed in your heart?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, you're choppy. No,
Okay.
you broke. Mm-mm.
All right. I'll repeat my question. So yeah, can you just share with us a little bit about what that first week was like?
Oh,
Bringing Nathan home.
right. Being first time parents, of course, we were also trying to adjust, but luckily both sides of our families were always there, as in literally every day the grandparents came here, and so they helped us a lot. It Nathan wasn't, a difficult baby. He was actually very happy when he wakes up. When he woke up, he would have a smile on his face. It was very easy to make him laugh, but it was the routine we had to really establish. So at some point the grandparents were very helpful, but at another point we also had to set routines without them, because it's hard to set routines when the grandparents are there doing something else. So but it definitely we were very appreciative of all the help of the aunts, the uncle, the of course the grandparents as well. So the first week, I don't remember it as that stressful, because Nathan was, a very pleasant child.
Yeah, I can relate with that a lot. When having the grandparents around can change the dynamic a little bit. But it's so nice. I think it's so nice to have our children grow up around grandparents and extended family. So was that something you did deliberately? When Nathan was very young, did you make sure that he grew up around, like, what was, I mean, you were ready to adopt, but what was it like for your extended family, knowing that you had made this decision to adopt Nathan?
Yeah, we were very fortunate because both sides were supportive. There was definitely acceptance, and they welcomed Nathan in our family like any natural child, perhaps, and they loved Nathan from day one. So there wasn't any struggle in that context. They were, progressive thinkers. That it wasn't like a taboo to adopt at all. So
Right.
we were lucky that way because they accepted Nathan wholeheartedly.
That's wonderful. Nathan, do you have memories of those days, being very young? What do you remember growing up about, the family environment that you grew up in, and how, your childhood, knowing now that, how you came into the family through adoption? Um, I'm sure you processed that, right? So when you look back, what are your thoughts about your childhood?
What I really remember about my childhood was being passed around a lot. Passed around, like, Tita, Tita Nina wants to carry you. Oh, Lola wants to carry you. He just, take the baby, hot potato the baby, just pass around and get my cheeks pinched all the time. They
Yeah,
called
you
me
were
Nick,
called Shopao Dao. Your tita said.
Shopao,
Yeah.
Ching Ching, Chubby Baby, just a lot of names, and it was. I just really felt like a part of the family, talaga. I never considered adoption, like the adoption part, like I felt separate from my family, but I felt even closer talaga.
Wow.
And I just felt blessed. I always felt blessed when I thought of there was going to be a time I wasn't going to be adopted, or I wasn't going to be put in a family. So from this, I'm like, I'm grateful. I am happy. I I just feel blessed talaga that
That's
I'm in this.
wonderful. That's really great. And I think it's nice because, our extended families play such a big part in the adoption journey of a child, and seeing them, we like to say at Ruhe, to create a culture of celebrating adoption is one of our goals, where families, not just the parents and the siblings of, the child who comes into the family through adoption, would celebrate it, but the extended family, the church that they're a part of, their friends at school, their communities would all celebrate adoption. And my hope is that my daughter would have memories like yours, Nathan. That I was loved. I was passed around. Everyone wanted to hold me. Everybody wanted to carry me and love me, and that's wonderful, and that's so encouraging. So I think your family is really an inspiration, not just to me but to many. But one of the things that families are usually curious about is that moment when you find out that you were adopted, right? So maybe we can hear it from Nathan's perspective as well. What do you remember about that time? How did it come about? What were your thoughts and feelings as you were, learning about it?
At first I was confused. Like my mom, usually how my parents
How
did
old
it.
were you?
How old was I?
From the very beginning, because we were advised to mention or to explain it as early as possible, so we presented it in stories. But of course, there was that awareness of what it was when he was around 2.
There you go, too.
Okay.
And I would just be confused. At first I was confused that Nathan, they would tell me in stories, but it would be like this: Nathan, you're adopted. And I would just look at them. Okay.
Yeah, sure what that means. Yeah.
The stories got more detailed. I'm like, oh, so I'm from another family. And then like you guys love me so much that you instead took care of me. So I'm like, wow. So from that mindset as a child, I know I had to. There were some negative thoughts saying, "I'm not really your kid," and then there are some happy thoughts like, "Oh, you adopted me, you love me more." Like it was an emotional roller coaster at the time. But and dealing ano ba? Trying to progress that as a young kid, and it was just emotionally challenging. But now it's just like I can just say, "Yo, I'm adopted." That's it. When I meet a new person, I don't say my name. I'll just say, "Hey, I'm adopted. My name is Nathan." Like that. Straight out. Like, hey, I'm adopted. Yes. Hello, I'm Nathan. I just say I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed that I'm adopted. I love being adopted. And then I have some adopted friends that are a bit shy about it. So I'm like, I just push them out into the light. Say that you're adopted. Say it.
Is it do you say it? Does it do something for you? Does it help you process? Is it like freeing to be able to just say it? What is it? What motivated you to start doing that?
What motivated me to start saying that I'm adopted? I think after watching so many adopted films, and then that inspired me. Oh, they're not afraid of being adopted. What about me? Okay, let's do it. Get outside, and then I'll just tell all my friends, guys, I'm adopted. So yeah, there were some smiles and some frowns, and then before actually, my friends would frown on the fact that I was adopted and say I was fake. Yeah, so they'd say I was fake, and then my mom just brought them in the house and told them about it. So yeah, they had. I was like, oh, my mom's gonna talk to you about adoption now.
What did you really say? What did you really do to those kids that were bullying Nathan?
My mom taught me to just ignore. So yes, I would ignore. And then when they And then when they were super curious about adoption talaga, yun, my mom would talk to them, or I would just say, I was from another family, but my parents adopted me and they love me now. So I'm in this family now.
Right.
So, yun.
You kind of had to feel your way through it. You know, as you were growing up, I'm guessing you get more and more comfortable with your story, and you figure out what to say at different times and which battles to fight and which are like not worth arguing about. I probably shouldn't even argue with this person about this. They just don't know what they're talking about, right? So is what I'm hearing you say, Nathan. But Reina, how was it for you from the perspective of a mom watching your son, go through some hard times, being a little bit confused and obviously the pain of having been given for adoption in the first place? How did you as a mother, walk him through that? What was the journey like for you seeing, sometimes the bullying, being called fake?
Correct.
Was it hurtful for you?
Yes, it was, it affected me a little, but being a teacher though, um, taking that into perspective was also another angle. That's why there was a certain point that I had to explain to the neighbor playmates what it was and that it's a good thing because that's how I'm trained to do. But yeah, but he attended kasi a small school, so it was a small community, and I was a teacher there too. So my co-teachers were very supportive of it. So it wasn't that hard in school, of course, because the teachers were also there to explain to the students, and there was also that consideration to put that in the lesson if it's all family, the different types of family, but to also that be having adopted children is also a type of family too. So we were blessed that way because my coworkers and the students also, because it was a close knit community. There was only at one point that he was really stressed about it, so I had to step in and talk to the kids about what adoption is, just so that they're aware. But yeah, my goal also there is to also like train him to be an advocate himself. So that was the beginning of him being an advocate of of adoption too. So now I'm happy that he actually took the initiative to be part of your organization as a way for him to also uh, as a way for him as a venue for him to promote and advocate for adoption.
Yeah. Thank you. I think you have such a nice perspective of that, the whole bullying issue, and I think it's so healthy because you see it quite objectively. You didn't take it personally. You saw, it was really the bullying stems from a lack of understanding about adoption, and that's why I think it's so important to have. I love what you mentioned. In the school system, when you talk about families, that adoption becomes part of that. So that children are aware, because the reason they tease and bully is they don't know. And sometimes the first time they're hearing about adoption, they don't know, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And so thank you. I think that's a wonderful perspective to have for parents. It's also not to take it personally, but to see what you can do to maybe provide more information to the friends of your child. Maybe the moms can step in and kind of help educate some of the kids and that the friends of your child about adoption. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, great. So let's move on. So away from the childhood years into kind of moving into the teens, Nathan. I know that as you were entering your teens, the questions increased. And maybe the curiosity increased. Can you tell me a little bit about what that experience was like for you as you were becoming a teenager, having more questions? What were you wondering about yourself, about your history? And how did you approach that with your parents, your family?
Um. Okay. So the questions that popped in my mind about adoption, yes, it's about my origins. Where is my birth mother? Who's my birth father? And do I have any birth siblings? So those one of the questions were answered. Some of the questions were answered. Yes, I have birth siblings. But I don't know where my birth mother is. I don't know who my birth father is. So but before that, I asked my mom who was my birth mother as a young age. In a young age, who's my birth mother? Uh, so she just said it was a woman named Rowan Raiko that apparently didn't have enough money for me, and she had to give me up for adoption. So that's it. That's all I knew. I just saw some pictures, and then there was one time I was having beatbox lessons, and my teacher said, "Nate, why don't you just check on Facebook?" I looked at it. It was a very odd answer, but I would try anything. So I searched on Facebook, Rowan Raiko. Boom, her picture showed up. I got my baby picture with her, and I compared it to the picture, the one on Facebook, and it was a match, like a 95% match. And then I just kept on asking more questions. Does she still remember me? Will she remember me if she sees me? Is um is there like an afterthought on, like, is she still thinking about me like right now? And then where does she live? And then does she have a new family? How she is? So how I um how I went along this with my mom, I asked her, how should I do this, mom? I'm nervous. I want to text her. I want to say hi. I want to say that, hey, I'm your son. And then, but she said, my mom said, let's just take it slow. If you are going to text her, let me and your dad text her first, and then let's see if it will go smoothly. So, um, I the next day I changed my mind and I didn't want to text my birth mother now, because probably it's best to leave that past behind and just keep on moving forward. And besides, why would I want to text my birth mother if I have my greatest mother here? Talaga. I have my mother here, and this is the greatest mom of all time. My greatest mom of all time. So why would I want to text my birth mother?
Yeah, that's very sweet, Nathan. Yeah, thanks for being so candid about that, about your journey. I know that the questions that you had to process for yourself are questions that all adopted children have to face. Except in your case, you actually found her and had the opportunity to do something about it. You know, a lot of times they search and they never find anyone. But Reina, what was that like from your perspective, and why did you advise Nathan the way you did? What was that journey like for you?
Honestly, I was first, scared about it because when I started to process, it was the fear of who will be more important. I guess that's the question. But of course, because this is what he wanted, and he had the right to know his birth parents. So we just said that to take it slow, because I also had to process this with my husband, who's quiet about it. But ultimately, you would definitely allow him naman to get to know the birth mom if that's what he wanted. But we had to make sure definitely that it should be safe. There shouldn't be any issue that's going to happen while that happens. So yeah, in case that he changes his mind again, that won't be a problem anymore. I mean, we're definitely sure that we will support him in contacting if that's the case. Yeah.
On that note, what advice would you have for parents who have children who came to them through adoption that want to prepare for that day? Like, my daughter's just 3. She's not there yet. I have a long road ahead. But Nathan mentioned he had photos and things like that. Was that something deliberate on your part, or what did you do as a mom to prepare for that day? I'm sure you knew it was going to come. Yeah.
Right.
Any advice for parents?
Okay, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, just
Sorry.
any advice that you might have for parents who want to prepare for that time when their children might be asking questions and might be curious about their birth families.
Right. I guess it's all about being secure that your love for your child and the love of your child for you is won't be like won't be threatened by that. Although it's a natural feeling, because I was actually surprised that I had that feeling, but ultimately, because after I processed it, um, I ultimately had to settle that fear and be confident that my relationship with Nathan is strong enough to face that reality that he might want to meet his birth parents, if not just a birth mom. And because we have that kind of relationship, I'm fortunate that Nathan also expresses his feelings frequently, frequently to me, and I know what he's thinking. I know what he's feeling about it. So that relationship is strong. So it's not as if that your child wants to show you that you're less important, but it's just that it's part of that identity that he's seeking. Also, being in that stage, the adolescent stage, seeking that identity, to exploring things. So I guess to be secure with the relationship that you have with your child is the ultimate thing to consider when that time comes.
Yeah. So making sure that, the relationship is strong and they're open, that they feel like they can come to you and share these things with you. I can imagine it could have been messy had Nathan not had such a good relationship with you. His initial reaction was, let me go tell my mom and see what she thinks. Let me ask my parents if they think this is a good idea. I mean, I think, as parents, we want to protect our children so much from anything that might hurt them. But just to echo what you said, it's that relationship and making sure your relationship with your child is strong enough that they would feel secure in your love and in the relationship there. So yeah, great, thank you. That's wonderful advice. Yeah, I want to move on to a different part of your story, which was that adoption has actually been part of your family's journey twice over. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about that, how that came about? I know Nathan plays a big part in that as well. So maybe you guys can share that with us.
My husband and I always knew that we are going to have a daughter, because that was the first, that was the first one. And Nathan came, so that wasn't plan A anymore. So, but we definitely knew we were going to have a daughter. So no, after 14 years, to 13, 14 years, we finally parang, brought up the topic again and talked about it. And we also, of course, talked to Nathan about it, because she's going to be part of the family. So we asked him if he wants to have a sibling and if he wants a brother or a sister. At first, actually, he wanted a brother, but but you know what? Having a sister is going to be great, because it was a dream of mine to have a daughter. But he changed his mind anyway. So, and then we engaged him in every step, like what name would you like to have for your sister? So he actually had a survey made, and he took a poll in school, asked his friends. He had like a list of four names, and then took a survey, and the name of Robin won. So that's the name of his sister. So he was very much part of the process. There was also like a requirement in the adoption process, now that the sibling would have to have a written letter. So he made that himself too. And then every time we would visit the orphanage, he was also there. So we definitely have had to bring him along and take him through the process so that he knows that this is like a family growing, and you are part, and and your sister is part of that family, and we're going to, like, do this together. So yeah, so Nathan was definitely, very much part of it.
That's great. Yeah, and so I know that Robin's a really cute name. How old were you at that time, Nathan, that you were going through the process?
14, 13.
No, I had Robin joined my 13th birthday party. So that
Oh,
means
okay. You're probably like 12, 13 years old.
11ish. Because we were planning when I was 11, and then I think at 13 or close to 13 we got a Robin na. So somewhere at that time, the different names I thought because of different shows. So Robin came from How I Met Your Mother. There was
You were
there was
watching How I Met Your Mother when you were 11?
with my mom,
Okay. Okay.
and then there was Fiona from Shrek, and Hermione from Harry Potter, and Ashley, just as a random thought. So Robin came up, and I'm like, oh, if she's Robin, then I'm Batman. Yeah.
That's very cute. That's a very pretty name. I think you landed on a really nice name. Oh, there she is. So she's 4 years old now? Is that right?
6 years old now.
6 years old now. Okay. And Nathan, what was it like for you, before we talk about Robin, she's super cute. What was it like for you seeing your family go through the adoption journey? Now you're part of it. Like, you're actually part of the ones adopting your sister. Did it help you process anything? What was that like for you?
It helped me realize how much work they had to go through in order to get me, and then since I had to be a part of the work, I had to share that work along with them to get my sister. So it was the determination that I saw in order the papers. We had to go to court. We had to do more papers, pa. We had to wait, and it was like, wow. So this is how much it has to do. You have to do this. You have to all do this in order to get a baby, to adopt a baby. And I'm like, I understand, because it has to. We have to go through a legal process. So yun lang.
Were there any stark differences between the adoptions? The adoptions came like 13 years apart, right? Reina, for you, you got to adopt, way back then, and then 13 years later. Was there any difference in the journey? Were there things that you learned the first time around, or mistakes you had made that you did better? Just some perspective, since you've been through it twice.
Right. Because it was also through KBF that we got Robin, so the process was very similar. But in terms of the legal process, it was relatively easier with Robin, because we knew what papers to prepare, and we were able to schedule it in our main schedule, or main calendar. So but the steps in court, it's generally the same. It's not that fast. Although they did say it was fast, but it's not. Right now, we're still waiting for the papers to finish. But yeah, the only advantage that we had during Robin's adoption process was that we knew the next step to do. What documents we had to gather and collate. But yeah, so it's knowing things to prepare is a big thing, because there are just so many documents to prepare. So having that advice from the social worker, having a really good process that they have, or a really good system, was very helpful. We can't do anything with the court. That's how they are. So we just have to adjust with that.
Right. On that note, there's a question from Christy Brissett. How long was your adoption process with Robin, and how long was it with Nathan? Maybe Yeah,
Right.
share a bit
For
about that.
for Nathan, since we got him until the papers were finished, that was 4 years. 4 years, and so it took longer in the legal process, in the the papers from the court. So and when we got the final papers, that was 4 years now. With Robin, we're still waiting now because of the pandemic. It got delayed, so now it's getting close to 3 years. The process for Robin, although
Just the legal process.
just the legal process, yeah. So it's really slow. I don't know how they're gonna make it
Yeah.
possible.
So from your experience, the legal process has taken a lot longer than the administrative side and dealing with KBF and DSWD and everything like that.
Definitely,
Actually, the legal process, which tends to stretch on a bit longer. Is that
definitely.
because of like the scheduling of court hearings and things like that? Not knowing when.
Yes, it was actually the judge who kept, postponing it because of other matters or because of his health. So it was that, and when it was rescheduled, it was a month after. It wasn't like days. So it really stretched out. So yeah, it took us years for Nathan and Robin until now.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. What do you have any tips for families who are going through the legal process now, or who are wondering, what can I do to speed it up? I know Christy has some questions. I know her personally.
Right.
What can we do when it feels like it's stuck in that legal process?
I think it's going to be very helpful if you get a lawyer that's really, that really specializes in this kind of cases. Our lawyer is great. However, she has other cases to also know, and that's not something that's something we understand. So, but if it's a lawyer that really focuses on, on
Adoption.
adoption or specializes in this area, that probably will speed up the process. So, but kasi they would have like they would know how to talk to the social workers in in the court or the judges. I don't know, but I think that's a faster way.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you. We're getting to some questions now as it's almost 6 o'clock. There's some questions coming in. Let's flash the question of Rachel. For Nathan, Mr. Nathan, what compelled you to share your adoption story with a larger audience?
What compelled me? What inspired me? Just uh, it's just confidence. Like I really felt. Is it that it?
Yeah. I guess
Parang I was inspired. I was told not to be ashamed of myself. That it started up that way. Don't be ashamed of being adopted. So yun, that led to a small audience, which were my friends. Then as I kept on telling it, years passed by, and then I got used to telling it to more people. And as it progressed even more, yun, a bigger audience, and then I'm not ashamed of being adopted. I'm not ashamed of showing the downsides and the upsides of being adopted. I just want adoption to be known talaga.
Mm-mm.
I want adoption to be a plan A instead of a plan B. Because I know there are children out there that need help, that need home, that need a family, that need warm hugs at night.
Mhm.
So basically, I just what what really compelled me to speak to a larger audience about adoption is the fact that no, oh, props. Adoption is great. Yan lang.
Yeah, no, I really see your heart. I think you come, and I think it's all the more powerful when you say it. To advocate for the orphan, to advocate for those who don't have a family, because you've experienced firsthand the beauty of adoption, and you've processed it. You've gone, like you said, the emotional roller coaster of the ups and downs. It wasn't all, it wasn't all highs. Sometimes we just hear the pretty side of the story. But I want to thank you for being so candid about sharing also the reality that it's not easy. You had some struggles, and you had a lot of questions. You had to process that with your family, and I think what you're doing is really great, and advocating for the orphans and for families for them is wonderful. Yeah, thanks, Nathan. I do have another question about the dynamic of now in your family having two children who came to you through adoption. What are the benefits of having experienced adoption twice? Are there any, how they also say, adopting sibling groups are great, or is there anything there, any benefits that have come out of, just going through the process twice, either for Nathan or for Robin?
Right. I guess not having a manual at all in parenting is what makes it, daunting, right? Whether it's a natural child or an adopted child.
Yes.
But having done it once with Nathan, I guess we were more, certain of how to rear a child. We know, parang we're more certain, although we don't know everything yet. Also, we are just more confident that we know that we want these values to be taught to her. It has to start at this age. We are more confident about health questions because before with Nathan we were so scared about when he got sick, or when he feels all these ailments because being a first time parent. But for Robin, it was less worrisome. We were more certain with our with the values that we want to teach her. And I guess the also when parenting, sometimes you feel guilty because sometimes you have to give tough love, but you know that you're doing something like not giving everything to the child, because it's not always good to give everything to the child. And if a child like Robin's very strong-willed, and if not, if we give in to everything that she wanted, that's going to be a problem in the long run. So the feeling of guilt is not that big anymore when I don't get to give everything, because I know that it's not going to be helpful at all to the child. So I guess it's that no, it's having done it already with Nathan made us more confident parents. But of course, we still have a lot of challenges that we face also.
Yeah. Thanks. Nathan, how about for you? Do you guys talk about, do you talk to Robin about it? Do you guys talk about having both been adopted? Is it cool to now share that in common with your sister?
Yeah, I sometimes talk about it with her when the time is right. When me and Robin are just chilling, playing video games, or just, hey Robin, yeah, you're adopted, okay, and we still love you as a family, okay. Kahit makulit ka, and you at madaldal ka, we still love you, okay. And then I just sometimes here's the thing. When you guys are not around, I compare me and Robin at the same. When I was your age, I used to talk as much as you, so you are my sister. You have the same smile and same cheekbones as me, so you are my sister. Okay, that's it. You look like mom, you look like dad at the same time. So basically, yes, you are my sister. And then she would say, but what about adoption? Don't forget about adoption. You are my sister talaga.
I think that's really cool, Nathan. I read about that and trying to find traits that help a child who came through adoption relate with their now family, their real family, right? Their forever family. And I think it's really healthy. I think what you're doing is really nice. It's such a sweet kuya thing to do, to kind of help her see that, it's not all biological, like I was makulit at your age, we're definitely siblings, and things like that, I think is very sweet. And it's one thing that siblings can do and a family can do to help kids process at a young age, right? It's hard at 4 or 5 years old to process these things, but I think you guys have a wonderful story. So as we come to the end of the show, I just wanted to give you both the opportunity to maybe encourage those who are watching. Maybe Reina, if you have any advice for those who are considering adoption, you have a message for them, maybe you could urge them, and what any advice on what to consider and how to get that going. We would
Right.
love to hear from you.
Right. If having a child is something that you are looking for in your life, the love of a child is is constant. It's general. It's not something only with biological children. It's children in general can give this very sweet, pleasant, and uh, loving vibe that for the family, and it's a wonderful thing not just for the child but for your family, and it's something that you need to pray for as well because it is a commitment. It's something that you should definitely discuss with your family because everybody is in it. It's not just you and the child. The family has to accept the child wholeheartedly without any question. So it's something that you need to uh, discuss with them. Um, to also be 100% in it because that's how being a parent is. You can't just be one half in the relationship, but 100% in the relationship. So it's as good as having a biological child too, because the love is a general thing. It's a constant thing that you can receive from any child actually. So if we definitely encourage the parents out there to consider it
Plan A,
because
plan A,
plan A, yeah,
plan A.
to make it a plan A because it's a definitely a blessing to have.
Thank you. Thanks, Reina. And Nathan, maybe could you just your message to those who are watching who maybe came to their families through adoption as well, and you have come to a place where it's not just personal to you anymore. You're advocating, and what's your message to those that are watching and kind of still mustering up the courage to start talking about it or to come to terms with the fact that adoption is part of their story?
Okay. So all the people there who are adopted as well, don't be ashamed. Seriously, don't be ashamed. You were given this life when there was a chance that you wouldn't have this life. You were given an opportunity to shine brighter than you would ever before. So never be ashamed of being adopted because to be honest, it's a brag. Yes, I'm adopted. You can just brag about it because you can just say you're adopted and you're just going to if you just say this, look yourself in the mirror, say with all your heart, say that you're adopted, and just look at you, look at yourself, and see how great that is, talaga. Because adoption, I'm telling you guys, is great. Um, being born from your parents and being adopted aren't in different levels. They're the same. They're the same. You have a family, you have a home, you have people who love you. You have it's basically the same. It's just that the process is different. So there's nothing to really be ashamed about, and there's nothing to really be sad about. It's adoption is beautiful. Adoption is great. It's a gift. It's basically God's gift to you. So, yun, guys, just do not be ashamed of yourself. Do not be ashamed of being adopted because it's a blessing talaga. That's it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Reina and Nathan. Thank you both. You're an inspiration to us. I know you're an inspiration to many. Thank you for your courage to share your story and just inspiring everybody that's watching today. So I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Okay, that's it for tonight, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our live chat for this evening. Do let us know your thoughts. I know I was really encouraged to hear from Nathan and Reina and just to hear their story again. We'd love to hear your thoughts about today's live chat. If there's anything they said that really stuck to you or really encouraged you, please share it in the chat. in the comments. And if you have any questions for them, please feel free to keep sending them in. We'll make sure to send them out to Reina and Nathan, and we'll get back to you with the answers. You can connect with us on our website, our Facebook page, Instagram. You can also email us. Feel free to get in touch with us. You can also sign up for an adoption consultation. So if you were encouraged and inspired by their story and you want to get your adoption journey started, do schedule an adoption consultation with us. The link is on the screen. You can do that, and one of the members of our staff will be there to walk you through the process as well as to answer any questions you might have. We also invite you to share your story if you were encouraged by Reina and Nathan. Sure you were. Share your adoption story with us. If, like Nathan, you're saying, I'm not ashamed anymore. I want to step out. I want to advocate for adoption. I want my story to be in a place where, more would be encouraged. Please do go to this link, rohefoundation.org/connect, and get in touch with us so that you could share your adoption story. We would love to feature that on our website. We would also love to invite you for a live chat if that's something you're open to. So do get in touch with us, and that's it for now. We will see you next week on Tuesday again for another live chat. So stay tuned for the details of that on our social media accounts. That's it for tonight. Bye. Thanks for joining us.